What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fit for Life podcast. What's going on, Brooks?
Not much. Got some great weather around here, finally.
I
Not
know.
negative 20.
Yeah, it's beautiful outside. It's like 30 degrees.
Yeah, we have Sunday's going to be like 70.
What?
Yeah,
That's insane.
so nice.
I was pumped about 40.
These are the days in like February, March where you're like, okay, maybe it isn't so bad living somewhere that
Yeah.
isn't nice all the time. Because if I didn't have the negative 20, I would never have the euphoria I'm feeling on the first sunny 50-degree day
Yeah.
in the spring.
100%. Dude, I mean, even today I was walking outside and it was 30 degrees. And after 2 weeks of zero wind chill,
Yeah.
I was like, I literally was like, this is awesome. Like, this feels so good. And it's like,
Yeah.
it is crazy, but it just like goes back to that whole idea of, doing hard things or having to go through hard things, like makes you appreciate other things so much more.
Yeah. If you always were feeling good, it wouldn't feel good anymore.
Yeah. Nobody cares about summer in California.
Right. They don't appreciate it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just what we tell ourselves to not
Yeah. Right.
feel jealous about the 70
As they're
degrees all
as
the
they're
time.
playing like beach volleyball in January. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, cool, man. So I have a topic for today.
Oh, you do.
I do. Because we obviously have worked with a lot of clients, over the last, call it, I don't know, almost decade. I think both you and I, even before we started working together, like a lot of, we've worked with men, women, we've worked with different ages. And for whatever reason, like I would say the vast majority kind of fall into like women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, maybe late 30s, right? Like is kind of where I would say the vast majority of people I've worked with. And would you probably say the same?
For sure.
Yeah. And it's interesting because this is clearly something that I think other coaches probably see the same too, because you see so much content around like women over 40,
Yeah.
right? And especially with fat loss, weight loss. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to just kind of chat through, one, from an evidence-based perspective, not like I think fat loss over 40 for women over 40, but just like building a fit and healthy body, life, understanding what matters when it comes to like hormonal health, how to navigate some of like the online space with it, right? I think it would be good to just have a conversation with this because there's so much misinformation online. And I think we have enough experience working with women in that age group to hopefully help listeners who are, who are women over 40, kind of walk away with some more actionable steps rather than feeling like, what do I need to do?
Amen. I think it's the most needed, or like the most misled, the most confused, the most overwhelmed population by far.
Yeah.
And I'm also excited to dive in on this because it's an interesting dynamic, because when we see other fitness influencers, when we see fitness influencers, not other fitness influencers, because we're not influencers. When we see fitness influencers spewing bullshit, in the past, my immediate reaction has been to be like pretty harsh about how that's not true. Mm-hmm. Because it really bothers me. But like when we zoom out, I think when I do that, that woman who's in her 40s or 50s, that can be taken completely the wrong way, when like the harshness I'm meaning to direct at the influencer who's just misleading people.
Right.
But like, is that helpful to the person who actually is like, well, what the hell do I do?
Right. And that's why I think this is such a tricky topic. And like, what I don't want to do is just go into like just because what you see with like exactly what you're describing, what you see with this online is a lot of coaches talking to each other and trying to be like, oh, this is what happens after 40. And like the reality is, like, I think we should start by saying there's a reason why this topic is so heavily talked about. Number one, it is a clear business opportunity.
Right.
For many coaches, right? Because like we just said, most of our clients fall into that range. So of course, when the demand is high, there's a lot of people that want to sell it. And I think the other aspect of it is that there is a lot of nuance and there is a lot of considerations. And if there wasn't, then there wouldn't be this much discussion. Mm-hmm. Right. And so like what you see online is like this idea that it's two things. It's one, either your hormones completely break, your metabolism breaks, right? Like you need to reset your hormones. You need to fix your broken metabolism. Everything, everything that you were doing before is now impossibly wrong after 40. And like, you need that influencer's magic solution to make it work. Like that's like the one side. And then the other side says hormones don't matter. Your metabolism doesn't change. None of this shit is real. It's all calories and you're eating too many. Right? Like there's like the 2 points of view. And I think the truth is somewhere more in the middle. I think that the reality is like, regardless, like, okay, number one, fat loss always does come down to calories. No matter what age you are, no matter what gender you are, you cannot change the law of thermodynamics. Like that is true. But also at the same time, there are many, many things that influence how many calories are consumed and how many calories you're burning on a daily basis. And I think there's a lot of discussion we can have around why that changes. But from working with many, many women over the years, something does change when they start hitting these years. And the same things that were working before are no longer as effective. Like I think any coach that doesn't acknowledge that fat loss gets harder as women age, I think is either number one, not really worked with many women, or two, is just kind of putting their head in the sand because they don't want to acknowledge that like it might be different, because the research shows like, oh, your metabolism doesn't change or your hormones aren't affecting the thermodynamic calorie balance. But like, I think like from a real life practical level, I think it helps all of us to just start by saying it is harder. And there's nothing wrong with admitting that. It doesn't mean it's impossible by any means. Like we've obviously seen many women get great results, but I think it's important to acknowledge that we probably do need a new strategy than before, right? Yeah. It's not a magic hormone elixir, but I think we should talk about today. Like I would love your perspective on why do you think it is hard?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind when you say that, I would just start with metabolism, and not metabolism in some like fancy buzzword way, but like if we really look at what leads to weight loss, right? You said this earlier, it does come down to calories, but a lot of people equate that with, hey, how many calories am I eating? And a massive contributor, obviously, is the other side of the equation, how many we're burning. So if we look at what helps your metabolism, I mean, first and foremost, muscle mass comes down as we age for most people if we're not lifting weights. So that right there, you're burning less calories at rest. That's going to make it harder. But the reason for that, for a lot of people, is what? More time. Or less time. More responsibilities. More stress. Maybe raising kids. It's just, it's pretty easy to see that it's harder to maintain consistent movement as you get older, depending on what your life looks like. So if we start diving into all the things that could lead to a decrease in metabolism for women as they age, you're moving less. You have less time to work out. If you haven't been strength training, you're losing muscle mass, and so that right there is case in point why something that worked before isn't going to anymore, because your baseline calorie burn is lower, and all of a sudden, you know, it's going to take a lot less calories to see the weight drop because you're burning less every single day. And that may not be, well, we know it's not. If we take a look at, if we isolate all the variables, there's not a special decrease in metabolism outside of your movement and your muscle mass in any given day. And I think that's one that people will weaponize this word, this metabolism word, and say your metabolism's lower as you age. So you need a new approach, or you can't do what everybody else is doing. And it's like, well, is that like, if we cut somebody open and look at their muscle mass, is there a tag on it that says like, oh, she's 55, so we're gonna run at 80%
Right.
speed, right? Like, no, there's the biggest contributors there are your muscle and your movement and all the things. So a lot of times this does come back to, you just have less wiggle room,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Like something that you could have done in the past and you could get away with, it's just not as realistic now. So that's where I'd start. Like, if we really think about all the different ways that we're moving less or burning less calories, they add up over time.
Yeah. And I think people will hear that. And I think it's very, like, the thing is, our memory sucks, And so, like, I think people think through and they're like, well, I don't move that much. Like, I still go for walks all the time, or like I still work out 4 days a week. And it's like, okay, but number one, do you really remember how much you moved 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Because I barely remember what I ate yesterday.
Right.
And so I think to paint the picture in your 20s, like, number one, you spend some time in college, which, like, in college, realistically, you're probably walking like 20, 30,000 steps a day, just walking around campus, going to classes, like going to bars. And like, yeah, maybe you're drinking, but like you're bar hopping, like you're probably burning a lot of calories,
Yeah.
right? Then after, you're kind of like a young professional and you're still like, you're going out all the time. And it's like, yeah, you might not be living the healthiest life, but you're probably moving a ton, and then you get kind of in your 30s and, you start having kids, and maybe the first kid, it doesn't slow you down too much, right? Like you're still able to move around a lot, do chores. And then it's like your kids get a little bit older and like all of a sudden, like you take on like a chauffeur role, right? And I think people think like, oh, but I still work out 3-4 days a week, but we burn 90 and 95% of our calories outside of the gym. Like, it's not the workouts, it's our basic everyday life movement. And if you think that doesn't make that big of a difference, the reality is, like, if you burn 200 to 300 less calories a day, that's a significant amount that over time, because like most people don't gain 20 pounds overnight,
Right.
or in a month, right? It happens slowly over the years. And it's during this time that's like, you're raising a young family, you're building your career, you're super stressed, super busy all the time. And then like one day you wake up and you're like, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so hard to recognize like, oh, well, number one, I move less than I did 10, 20 years ago. Number two, I eat a little bit more chicken nuggets off my kid's plate than I did 10, 20 years ago, right? It's the very little subtle things that change it. Like that's from a metabolic standpoint. But then the other big piece is hormones do play a factor.
Yeah.
In not in the way of like they change your entire body so it makes you hold on to all your fat. Like there's certainly some changes in terms of how you hold on to adipose tissue, especially like, you know, carrying a little bit more around the belly and midsection and like where you store fat. But the bigger thing is it changes how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
It changes your energy levels. It changes how you sleep.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and those are very real things that for anyone to ignore, like you and I will never understand what menopause and perimenopause feel like, you know? But I will say from working with many women again in those age ranges, it's crazy for anyone to deny that there's no impact to how consistent you can be, how you feel. Like when you are constantly battling lower energy levels, crazier mood swings than you've had before, and now like all of a sudden you have this weird like anxiety, depression that you've never dealt with in your life, that like you're like, what the hell is going on with my body? Like you don't think that makes an impact on fitness? Like that's crazy for anyone to deny. And so I think like there's a lot that changes with your body, right? Your lifestyle, the way you feel on a day-to-day basis, not to mention just general aging, that like even for a man or a woman, like it's like I'm 36. It's harder to move and recover than it was when I was 26. Like there's no doubt about that, you know, like all these little pieces play together that again, it just makes things harder than it was before. And I think I don't say all this to be like, screw it, it's not worth it. It absolutely is worth it. Like obviously you want to age well and be healthy for as long as you can, but we have to start with this base level, right?
Yeah.
Of understanding why it's harder and accepting that it is.
Yeah. There's a few things I want to highlight from what you just said. So number one, it's a million different things. Like we so desperately want it to be one or two things. I wish it was, you know. I always say with some of the people, like the charlatans about a specific ingredient or carbs or whatever, that'd be really freaking cool if that was it. Like that would make this so much easier, but it's not, you know. There's so many different contributing factors, and it's in a way it could be overwhelming, but on the flip side, when you realize how there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, it's kind of like my response to most things. There's a few that I will say are non-negotiables, but those are very few things. Mm-hmm. But to most things, our response, I think both of us, is going to be like, yeah, it might help, but you don't have to. Like that's it. You know, do you need to go get your blood drawn? Like, yeah, it might help, but you don't have to. There's so many different factors that land in that camp, because if we take that look and there's 100 different things you could do, if you do a certain percentage of those very, very well, it's going to improve all the other ones anyways without even directly paying attention to it. Mm-hmm. So another thing I wanted to highlight was it takes roughly, depending on a lot of different factors, 3,500 calories to gain a pound of tissue. 2 pounds a year is 7,000 calories then. Mm-hmm. Or 2 pounds is...
Over your maintenance, you're saying.
Over your maintenance. So 2 pounds is 7,000 calories. If you distribute that across a year, that is 20 calories a day. Yeah. What's something with 20 calories?
A
tablespoon of ketchup?
One M&M.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Right. So like, to really put that in perspective, there is virtually zero difference. I mean, foods are generally going to be 10 to 20% off on their calorie estimates anyways. So if you're eating 2,000 calories a day, that's 200 to 400 calories a day of just rounding errors. Mm. And we're talking 1/10 of that.
Yeah.
Per day. So 2 pounds a year, you're eating one M&M extra when you're packing your kids lunch, and maybe it's like 2 or 3, whatever. But you do that for 15 years, that's 30 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
That is 30 freaking pounds. And then, I mean, another thing you highlighted, pregnancy. Like, let's think about that. Number one, yes, you can lift weights when you're pregnant. Let's be real. Most women aren't.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to lose some muscle mass.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, you are forced, you have to gain quite a bit of weight. And a lot of the women we talk to and we see, like, they usually lose that decently well after pregnancy 1. But then pregnancy 2 comes along and pregnancy 3. And you simultaneously have this extra weight gain and you're taking care of 2 or 3 human beings while maybe working a job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
at
all
that point,
this,
you're probably at a progressed point in your career too. So the job demands are even higher stakes, more stress.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like think about how, and so it's like if 20 calories a day extra over 10, 20 years can lead to 2 pounds a year weight gain. Like imagine just also, let's just slap an extra 15 on 1 year from your pregnancy that you struggle to get off. Okay, now we're looking at 50, 60, 70 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, not for everybody, but think about how quickly that really can happen.
Which one of the things too, like, and why I think so many fitness influencers online can't, I think they can't even understand this because they don't live a normal life. Mm-hmm. Like they don't live the life of working a career in an office where you're sitting in a chair all day and then coming home and picking up your kids from daycare and immediately trying to make them dinners and then trying to answer some emails before you go and put them to bed and then come back and hopefully have 45 minutes to actually spend with your husband or your wife, right? Like to actually have some semblance of peace before you go to bed and do it all over again. Like they never experience that. Like their life is in the gym. Mm-hmm. They literally train people for a living. They make videos showing off their yoga parfaits online. And then they go and say like, oh, you get to work out. You don't have to work out. You get to do it. And it's like, yeah, but you love doing it. Yeah. It's your passion. It's your, like, for many people, like, what, because they're not as gung-ho about doing a workout as you are that it makes them bad people? Like, no. That's just not what they're passionate about. Like, that's okay. But
right.
like, that's why, like, I think most people don't, these coaches, influencers, and I'm saying all these things because I do work a full-time office career. Like, and I have for 15 years and I do the coaching on the side, but like, I have real life experience, not just fitness coaching experience. And so like, I understand like it is difficult to balance all these things. And so I think like the biggest thing I want women to hear that are at this point now, like number one, your lifestyle is different. And so instead of looking back and being like, how did I get here? Like, why? Like, oh, like what? Like, no, let it all go. It doesn't matter how you got here. There's a million factors that went into it. And
can I throw real quick before we make this pivot? Can I throw like 2 or 3 other things that I had thought of that also just to really emphasize the point of how many factors are going on?
Yeah.
Like a quarter of women over 40 are on an antidepressant. Antidepressants increase the risk of weight gain. Like that in itself, boom, you throw that into the mix, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's a factor. Stress, not just and stress in the concept of if you're stressed out, you're going to snack on sugary food that's in front of you more often. Like that, it doesn't have to be this complicated, like, oh, we need to tackle and manage your cortisol better. Like, no, if you're stressed out or you're sleep deprived, you're going to eat more sugary foods,
Everybody does.
Right. And you mentioned the sleep already. Like it's just so important to highlight anything that impacts your ability to take care of yourself is going to lead to body composition change for the worse. Like,
yes. And bring up the fact that once you do hit perimenopause and your hormones do begin fluctuating, the risk of sarcopenia, meaning muscle loss, speeds up as well.
Yeah, and I think we definitely should like cover a little specific. I don't know if you were planning on getting there after this, but cover a little bit more specific on like why, like what hormones are doing what, like why are those making it harder?
Yeah. So, okay. So the thought, I'll finish the thought and then let's
Okay.
talk about that. So the thing I was just going to say is like, accept that there's a million things that have led up to this point. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't mean that you don't care. It doesn't mean you're lazy or any of those things. Like you had different priorities and your priorities were incredibly important for an overall healthy life, right? Like you raised children, and even if you didn't, right? Like maybe you grew a career. Like there's a lot of things. And so accept that, and also accept that success does not mean getting back the body that you had when you were 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I think I hear that so much from women. Like, that it's like almost like even if you lose 10 pounds, even if you get a little bit more fit, like, well, but I used to look like this. Like, that lifestyle is gone. So, what was a body that was easy to maintain back then might be absolutely miserable to maintain now. Right. So let's stop focusing on like, I'm not going to be happy until I'm this skinny mini that was, running around at college bars. And let's start focusing on how can I just make progress from where I am today, and where that's going to land and end up. Who knows? Right.
Yeah.
But let's just move forward now.
Yeah. I a million times want to emphasize there's nothing wrong with you. You do not need more discipline or motivation or willpower. You are a superhero. Look at what the kids, the career, the things you've been through, and the amount of time, and it's not your fault is the thing, right? Because like I said earlier, a lot of things can work, and a lot of them are batshit insane and extreme. So of course it works for 4-6 weeks, but it's so easy to blame yourself if you do one of those things that's absolutely insane, and then you can't stick with it because you're like, oh, that worked, but I couldn't stick with it. And it's like, the amount of women I talk to in this age group where I'm like, you don't need more discipline. Look at what you've done with your life. And even look at the fact that you cut out carbs for 6 weeks while raising kids and working a job. You have damn good discipline. Like that in itself, the fact that you could even do that for 6 weeks or 4 weeks is crazy impressive. So it like really, 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 it's not about willpower. It's not about force. It's not about discipline. It's about a more efficient path that improves. I know this might sound crazy to some people out there, but it is possible to improve your relationship with yourself in your own head while you get results.
Yep.
And that's what it all comes back to.
Yep. 100%. Do you want to talk about now the hormonal piece? Because this is something that's talked about online a lot.
Yeah.
And this, again, very extreme points of view, to the point of hormones don't matter, and to the other point of you need some crazy supplement kit to reset your hormones, and without that, nothing is going to change. Right. Yeah. So I think let's briefly chat through high level the hormonal shifts that are very real, that might make an impact. And I also want to highlight that you and I are not hormonal experts.
Right.
Like we're not the people that are going to be giving you replacement therapy or anything like that. But I think like we do know a little bit around high level what changes. So let's talk through that.
Yes. Okay. So one thing I want to get out of the way, it's a two-way street between hormones and lifestyle. So there's no scenario where you have to address something hormonally on its own in order to make progress. It's very clear that you can make progress no matter how wacky things may be. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying like, oh, it's easy, it's just calories, because like we already covered, anything that makes it harder for you to move your body and make the right decisions that you want to make around food is going to impact things. But I just want to get it out of the way that, like you said, we're not hormone experts. We don't prescribe HRT, and we've helped hundreds of women have success. And I probably can count on less than my two hands how many of our clients had like a night and day revelation of them going to get hormone replacement therapy or something addressed, and that having a huge change on the process.
Yeah.
That certainly exists. Like if you have symptoms of related to menopause, like there are solutions that work that we would recommend you talk with a physician about, not try to piece together from the internet.
Which, by the way, like to that point, the clients that I have, because to your, like what you're saying, I completely agree. It's been a relatively small percentage of women who genuinely like they needed that HRT route, and it was unbelievably more difficult before they did it. And what I would say is it was so clear that they needed it to them. Like it was like, this isn't like oh, I don't know, like it's the fast not coming off as easy, and like it was the symptoms that they described of unbelievable brain fog, of going to a grocery store forgetting why they were even there, like having immense anxiety, depression that they've never dealt with in their entire life, right? Like these symptoms that were like, it was so clear that something was off, something was wrong. And if you feel that, it's absolutely a really good idea to go talk to a medical professional. And honestly, go speak to more than one. Because the other experience I've had with women who have dealt with this is that they've gotten very different advice from doctors. And they've had some very good doctors that from an HRT perspective are very knowledgeable, helped them out a ton. They've also had really bad experiences where the doctor kind of like almost shrugged it off. And so don't rely on just one, get multiple opinions. Because I will say the most common one is low estrogen, or actually not low estrogen, but a estrogen imbalance, with estrogen and progesterone together. Seeing that has led to some really, really difficult symptoms to manage from a mental perspective and from an energy perspective. And so when they did get HRT, it was night and day, so that's what I would say. Like if that is you, definitely worth speaking with a medical professional. And then let's also say the vast majority of women did not have to go this route that we've worked with, right? Like,
Yeah.
So I think both of those are important to acknowledge.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Sleep disruption, hot flashes, extreme, like you said, extreme brain fog. And that's something to look out for across everything, not just menopause. A lot of people online like to use, the cortisol's a big one. Like they extrapolate what happens with like Cushing's disease, where you have like very chronically elevated cortisol levels, or someone on medications that raise cortisol to avoid, like for in autoimmune conditions and things like that.
Yeah.
And then they extrapolate that, and it's like, hey, if your cortisol is over the reference range, and it's like, okay, you're talking to someone who has a cortisol that's like 1 point over the range, and you're extrapolating that to somebody who's on a medication or has Cushing's disease that has a cortisol level chronically 4 to 5 times the reference range, and like having them focus on something that's just majoring in the minors. Like, and that's just something to look out for. But Yeah. So, I mean, we got to talk about thyroid. So thyroid is you can think of it as like the gas pedal on all systems in your body. And so if you have an underactive thyroid, very common for women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, that can decrease your metabolic rate. Like an extreme or moderate to extreme level of hypothyroidism can decrease your basal metabolic rate by quite a bit. Like 10, 20%, I want to say. Don't quote me on that, but it's not insignificant, right? It can be maybe 100, 200 calories. But once again, why does that make it harder, right? Well, you're burning less calories. So that means if you want to lose weight, you have to cut calories an extra 1 or 200, which for women who need to be in the 1500 range for weight loss, 1 to 200 calories, like that is very significant. And then not to mention that if you have that going on, you're not going to feel the best.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that come back around to, right? Well, stress, sleep, movement, sunlight, taking care of yourself, quality nutrition, those are all things that are going to help contribute to a healthy thyroid function. And then, if it is one of those cases, once again, talk to a provider, but it doesn't change anything you do on your lifestyle side. And in fact, making the lifestyle changes may improve those values and that function anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big one. What about estrogen?
Yeah. So estrogen's going to come down through this process. And that can lead to, a change in body fat distribution. So you'll see literally more body fat or belly fat compared to when you were younger. And that's the biggest one I hear from women in this age group. Like, I don't weigh that much more, but it's just this belly fat. Like it's really,
Yeah.
really bothering me. And then also bone density. So that's going to be associated with a decrease in bone density, which obviously is no bueno as we age. If we fall, it's easier to break or fracture a bone. That's one of the leading causes because think about all the things downstream of falling and breaking a hip as you're older,
Mm-hmm.
right? You all of a sudden you can't move for quite a while. So then you lose some muscle mass, and then you're very much less likely to get back to your normal activity level after that. So really, we talk about the importance of strength training for how you look, but oh my gosh, like it is probably the most important thing for you to do for your health as you age, because blood sugar regulation, bone density, like those things are so important. And all the more reason to lift weights, right?
Yeah. And because I hear a lot about how my body has just changed. Like it looks different. Like even if you haven't gained that much weight, it just looks fluffier,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And estrogen plays a big role in that because the body fat distribution, but also estrogen is muscle protective. And so a big reason why you do start losing more muscle mass, right? And muscle in general is leaner, more dense. It makes you look smaller because it takes up less space, right? So like if you trade out 10 pounds of muscle for 10 pounds of body fat, you will look less lean, right? And that coupled with the fact that estrogen also has an impact on insulin sensitivity, which is going to be a huge factor in nutrient partitioning, meaning if insulin helps you move the glucose, the calories into your muscles, right? And so now a lot more of those calories, it becomes easier for that to be stored as body fat. And that subtle shift right there explains a huge difference in why women are like, I don't understand. Why does my body just feel like the shape of it just looks different? And that's a very real thing.
Yes. Estrogen is also cardioprotective. Very important for cholesterol and other, heart disease risk, heart health. And so we see that. And this is where a very important thing comes out. because if we look at the menopause process, right, this is just something that drives me nuts with people online telling these women to like do these small weird things around their day to balance their hormones. It's like if you need estrogen, if your estrogen's low because of menopause, you don't just like balance your cortisol and take a supplement and all of a sudden your ovaries work again. Like,
Right.
you're
Right.
going through menopause. Like
Right.
it's not, you either need exogenous estrogen or you don't. Like it's
Right.
not this the in between is what just bothers me a lot. And so, and we see this, like, once again, like you said, we're not HRT experts. We definitely are going to bring someone on the show that specializes in this so that we can clarify further. But when we, like, in the literature, what we see when women start hormone replacement therapy, there's a weird nuance around the timing of it. Like, the earlier to start it, the better, which is another ironic thing about, like, hey, do it the natural route. And it's like, okay, well, now we're just delaying and there is some weird evidence that if you delay, it's going to be less beneficial or even negative. But it's my understanding that's kind of going away. There's a weird argument around that and nuance. So we'll definitely have to bring.
It might just look different.
Yeah, yeah. But if you start it within like 10 years of menopause onset, estrogen and progesterone therapy it shows great health benefits across the board. It seems like a no-brainer a lot of the time.
Yeah. Now, okay. I think like that piece is all important to talk about. And it's important, again, to acknowledge that HRT is a great option for some people.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the discussion of balancing your hormones, right?
Yeah.
Because like I think like everything that we've talked about kind of leads, like, I think it's an important discussion on, it's very real. There is an impact. Things change. Now, from your perspective, if someone is not in that camp of like, I need HRT, things are very wrong. Something's like, I need to do something different, you know, and I probably need medical intervention. What would you do? Like, you know, like what do we do for the 90% of women that we work with? Right. Because it's funny because I would say, without sounding scammy, like some bullshit supplement, whatever, we do actually balance hormones.
Yeah.
In a way. You know
Fuck
what I mean?
yeah, we do.
Like that's the funny thing. Like we just don't.
And your
advertise it.
gut health.
Yeah.
We balance that too.
Right. Like, so what?
And
like,
we give you a microplastic detox from your bloodstream.
Yeah.
We do that.
Yeah. And how do we do that?
So, yes, this is so important.
Because you're kind of kidding, but also not.
But like actually not. So this is so important. Anything you measure out of your body, this is the classic correlation and causation confusion online. Anything you measure in your blood, in your gut, any of it will be reflected if your lifestyle factors are not on point. It doesn't matter what we measure. There are a few set of core lifestyle things that impact anything and everything you can imagine. And that would be your gut health. That would be your hormone panel and profile. That would be your micronutrient status in your blood or your hair or however you measure it. That would be your cholesterol. That would be your blood sugar regulation markers. That would be your blood sugar throughout the day. That would be your insulin. Like, there is literally very few things that you could pull in a lab or in something that aren't going to reflect what your day-to-day life looks like. So a lot of people get very confused and they start reading about these things or they look at it themselves and they're like, oh my gosh, unbalanced hormones are everything. That's it. If you have balanced hormones, you're going to be good. And any one of these routes, if you go down the rabbit hole as much as you can and do it all of a sudden you zoom out, and I'm saying this from experience because I did this for 10 years with different things myself. All of a sudden you get back to this place of like, if I move my body, if I lift weights, if I eat a solid diet with fiber and protein and mostly whole foods, if I take care of my stress and sleep to some degree, if I get outside, it improves all of that. Like, that's it. That is literally it.
Yeah. It's like the analogy I would think of is the check engine light in your car is on,
Yeah.
and you spend years researching, how do I turn this light off?
Yeah.
Versus checking the engine.
Yeah.
And actually fixing, and actually repairing that, which in turn will turn the light off, right? So that's the whole, when someone's like, oh, drink this cortisol cocktail, that's the equivalence of someone saying, we're going to fix that check engine light, instead of like actually taking care of the root cause of, why are you so stressed?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what's going on behind the scenes? And the same with like, okay, let's fix this, the adipose tissue, and like look at the belly fat. And it's like, or we can realize that muscle loss is a natural part of aging, and so is the body fat distribution. And we could also realize that there is a way to reverse that and to prevent it in the first place, and that is through strength training, right? Like, that is an incredibly important piece of the puzzle that I think for many, like, I think for everybody, but women especially, once they start reaching these ages, like, if you want to look fit, right, be toned, all those things, but also just feel healthy, feel strong, capable, right? Being able to support yourself day to day, have less blood sugar swings throughout the day after foods you eat, like all those things. Strength training becomes almost a necessity across all those pieces, along with just generally moving more, walking, right? Doesn't have to be 5 HIIT cardio sessions a week by any means.
Yeah.
And then I think it's focusing and building a healthy, balanced diet, which for many women that we've worked with, they've lived off of this kind of fad diet world for 20 plus years, right? Like in the past, it would be, I'm just going to cut out carbs. I'm just going to do fasting. I'm just going to do Noom, Weight Watchers, Octavia, whatever. And they would have some success to some degree, right? Like, because before it literally was like, oh, I just need to lose 10 pounds, like, and whatever, I'll do that and then not worry about it for the next 3 years. And now it's just a little bit different, right? And so we need to find, the biggest shift that I think women need to make in this stage of their life is to really start looking at this from the long-term game, right? This is no longer I'm going to do this random fad diet for the next 5 weeks and then I'll be fine. Like, we need to build a balanced, sustainable diet that prioritizes mostly whole foods, protein, fiber, vegetables, but also allows you to eat your favorite foods and understand how to fit your favorite foods into your calorie goal, right? So that you actually enjoy the way you eat, right? You're not looking for like that exit end date of the diet anymore, right? We need to make sure that we are building a movement system where we're building muscle, we're still looking at your cardiovascular health, we're moving on a regular basis, but it actually fits into your schedule, right? Like, it's not something that feels like this unsustainable workout plan that like I can just tough through this for the next 30 days. Like, everything has to shift towards, how do I do this for the next 30 years? Right? And that means we can't have this all or nothing, unrealistic, perfect plan we have to learn how to be 80% consistent and good enough with the right system for a very long time. And that is, I think, the hardest shift for many people to make.
Yes. I honestly think if someone is listening to this and they're like, man, I've been in this world, I've done all these things, I've been frustrated. I honestly think what I would say on the food side is to just eat at your maintenance calories that are going to seem insanely high. And as just to make sure we clarify, strength train 2 to 4 days per week. Get 100 grams of protein for sure, maybe 120 for women. Get 25 grams of fiber. Walk 8,000 steps a day. Those are kind of your baseline like targets to aim for. But on the calorie side, like, make sure you're eating mostly whole foods, like get some fruits, some veggies, some lean meats, all the things, whole grains, higher fiber, carbs. Find your estimated maintenance, and just like, it's going to seem extremely high. It's going to seem like a lot of food. And if you're really ready to embrace this like 30-year journey instead of this 30-day journey, just hang out, like you're going to be amazed at how much better you feel. And it's like, yeah, if 2 weeks goes by and the scale's kind of hanging out and you do want to bring that scale down, obviously there's so much more to this, but like if you're a DIYer listening in, go down by like 100 calories. Because I think the most important thing for people to like the type of person who's always rushing to speed things up usually is the person that they think for some reason they'll be able to be consistent at a lower calorie number than what they can be consistent with at a higher calorie number while tracking. And it's like, that adds more pressure, that adds more stress, that adds more hunger. Your decision making is worse.
Muscle loss.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's just like, why would we be successful at 1,200 calories if we can't just be patient to track 1,800 for 2 weeks and feel good?
Like in the perfect world, and this is different. Working with a client, I understand there's also a behavioral side of, hey, dude, when I see results early on, I'm more motivated, right? So like, I totally get it. Like, and if that's the route that you're like, I need to see the scale move, we'll work on that, right? Like, I totally get that. I'm not gonna be like, no, we're not doing that for the next 6 months. But I would say in a perfect world, if someone's listening and they're like, no, I'm good. I'm embraced the long game. Like, what's the best way to do it? Like, I think for many people, spend the next 6 months just getting strong.
Yeah.
And working on increasing your steps, working on changing your diet quality and adding more whole foods, getting the protein fiber consistently. And don't worry about the scale for the next 6 months. I think this is different if you're like, I have a lot of weight to lose. I have obesity, and like from a medical perspective, like I've been told, like if I don't drop the scale in the next 3 months, I'm going on, blood pressure medication, all that. Like that, totally separate conversation.
Yeah.
But I would say for like, just like the person who's like, I want to lose 10 to 20 pounds, maybe 30, and I just want to look leaner, like feel healthier, like et cetera. Spend the next 6 months getting strong, improving your diet quality, getting more steps regularly. And the scale might not drastically change, but your body will look different. You will notice your clothes fit better. You'll notice that you have more muscle definition. You'll notice that your pants are looser. You'll notice your waist is smaller, even if the scale hasn't dropped, which is the weirdest thing that clients talk about all the time. They're like, I really lost 2 inches, but like the scale has barely moved. I know, because it is very real that you could build muscle and lose body fat at the same time. If you are new to strength training, like consistent progressive overload strength training, not just doing random dumbbell workouts, but like having a plan where you're tracking increasing weight, pushing reps, right? and doing that consistently, that will transform most people's bodies. And then after 6 months, then decide, okay, now I've been consistent with these things. Do I want to go into a more intentional fat loss calorie deficit, which at that point, you're already doing all the things. All that changes now is I'm just going to drop the calories a little bit.
Yeah.
Not 1,000, not just like avoid, but like I'm going to drop the calories
Couple
300
hundred
to 500 per day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do that for the next 8 to 12 weeks and then come out of it. That would be like ideal to me of like, hey, tell me exactly what to do and I'll do it.
Amen. Yeah. And not to mention the fact that 6 months, it wouldn't be wild to say that you trade 5 to 10, maybe a little more pounds of fat for muscle for someone that's like new to this. And then all of a sudden, if you drop calories later, you're going to be losing body fat later, in addition to what you've already lost up until this point, at a higher number of calories and all. Like it's a very subtle shift, and you're just feeling great because you're moving way more, and you've been fueling yourself and all the things, and it's just completely different. And not to mention, in those 6 months, when you kind of like just, hey, this is what I'm doing, the stress and the pressure you've been putting on yourself is going to freaking drop to the floor, and all of a sudden you're just going to be like more energized and just spontaneously moving more. That you might end up dropping some weight,
Yeah. And not stepping on the scale every day, just praying that for some reason it changes, right? Because you're going to have the confidence of like, I know the strategy works. Yeah. I just have to keep going. That's what it becomes the hard part is just, how do I just make myself keep going? Because I already know this works, right?
Yeah.
Versus stepping every day being like, oh man, maybe it was the sugar. Maybe it was like I had that bread yesterday. Was it that? Like, oh, people say avoid. It's like, oh my God, let's get out of this living on defense, hoping that like I find the right strategy of add these superfoods, take out these bad foods, take this supplement protocol, like enough of all that bullshit. Right. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, if you're listening to this and you're like 6 months, oh my God, that's so long. Like, is it though? Is that really long when you compare how many years of trying different shit, maybe seeing it work for 30 days and then ending up in the same place over and over and over again? Like, would you not trade the next 6 months of doing this consistently, knowing that that's all over, right? Like that's all done. Like we're not spending the next decade trying different shit and hoping that it works. Like it's the biggest shift, and why I'm so passionate about it is because like when we work with women and the things they say, it's like, it's not the body transformation that they are so like proud of and excited about. Like, of course they love that part, but what the biggest thing I always hear is like, I feel freedom. I'm no longer living under this like pressure in my head every single day, just hoping I find the right answer. And like, how do I, because people think they have to choose between I'm going to have a fit and healthy body or I'm going to actually enjoy life. And once you can figure out that no, you can have both, everything changes. And that is the real transformation.
Yeah. I think that is the most reward, like by far, it's the most reward when someone is working with us. Those comments of like, I mean, this isn't easy, but like, this is 10 times easier than anything I've ever, like, it breaks their brain. They're kind of just like, what? Like you almost see their brain trying to make it more complicated than it is. It's like, yes. What? Like, this is awesome. Yeah, but at the same time, like you're kind of like looking for the shoe to drop in a way.
Yeah. Cause the people will be like, oh, can we like, let's look at my food logs and like, let's optimize it. I'm like, optimize what? You're hitting your calories, you're hitting your protein, you're hitting your fiber. You're good. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. It's wild. And I think leaving this is just the most important thing, which most of the honestly, the last few months, most people I've talked to that are maybe interested in coaching have been pretty dialed in on this. What are you doing it for? What's the ultimate vision? How do you want to live your life? And most of the time, that comes back to I just want to be here. I want to be present for the people in my life, and that that reminder and North Star is going to kind of answer a lot of the questions that you may have, outsourced to authority figures in the past of, oh, I can answer this myself. I'm getting the results I want. I ate I ate that ice cream Friday night. I frickin' loved it, and here I am, and it was a good time with my kids or whatever it is. Uh, that will just slowly but surely allow you to kind of recapture your own internal like sense of validation instead of kind of looking outside yourself.
Yep.
And if you follow that, it kind of all falls into place. How would I act in this moment if I was acting in line with the life I want to live? And then all of a sudden it's like, not to mention removing any sort of like shame or self-punishment eating and beating yourself up, like that kind of slowly but surely falls away.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. Did we miss anything? I feel like we hit it all.
I think we're good. Do you want to tell people where to find us if they are interested in maybe more support, more accountability, thinking about coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll put a link below with our info on how we do things. You could submit an application there. How I do it is we do a free game plan call. And like it's truly a game plan. It's no pressure. Just chat through like what it would look like for you, and if we're even a good fit for you, and if you're a good fit for us. Like that's the biggest thing. So we will go through that, and then no harm, no foul either way. But at least you get a solid plan of action so that you don't spin your wheels and go drop $10,000 on some hormone balancing program that doesn't help you actually change the things that actually matter for this journey. And yeah, that's all I got. Cool.
Awesome. Well, hopefully that was helpful. You know where to find us, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.